All right, part 2. So this is where we left off. Ooh, let's hit the next button. What does the next button say? So now it's talking about when you have a expression that has parentheses in it. So if you've got, 4 parentheses t plus 3 minus s. And then it's going to be the same thing, right? You're going to go through and you want to label them. So what are your variables? Your variables are your letters that represent something that you don't know. And we still have terms. So in this case, your terms are going to be the parentheses, which is one set of terms. Oh, let's highlight that. Is one set of terms. And then your S is going to be another set of terms. And remember, you still have the same thing. You have your invisible 1 right there. Because that just means that you only have one of the negative s's. Your factors. Your factors are still whatever is outside. So when you're distributing, that's what your factor is. Because if you were distributing that, if you divided the whole thing by 4 or negative 1, that would be where your factors come from. Your coefficients, in a lot of cases, are the same as your factors, because your factors, you got an invisible 1 before your t, because your coefficients can be pulled out if you divided them as factors. And last, you have a constant. Do you have a constant in this? Oh, the 3 is a constant. Why is the 3 a constant? Because there's no variable attached to it. So even if you were to multiply your 4 out, distribute your 4 out, your 3 would still remain a constant because it doesn't have a variable attached to it. So those are the important pieces that to understand about an expression. And in an equation that has an equal sign, right, it's the same. You still have the parts of the expression or the parts of the equation remain the same. Okay, so what's this? So your vocabulary. Select, oh, I see. That's how it works. So the x is your base. Now it's talking about powers. And the 2 is your exponent. So that's how you work this one. That's how you work that. This is called an interactive, right? Because you have to interact with it in order to get to what it's looking for. And so it's important. Let's hope it goes back to the same page. Okay. So it's important for you to write down what the vocabulary means if it's not something that you already know. If it's something that you already know, If it's vocabulary that you already know, you don't need to write it down. But if it's vocabulary that you don't know, it's really important that you write it down because that's what's going to help you remember. That's why taking notes is so important. And so now you come to the self-check. So as you can see, right, I've got all of my notes in here, and now I'm actually going to do the self-check problems. So how many terms are in this expression? Okay, so I've got one term right here, because remember, a term is the whole piece. So 1, 2, 3. Anything that's divided up by a plus or a negative sign, plus or a subtraction sign, is 3. I'm going to go to the next one. What are the coefficients for each term? So remember, a coefficient is something that multiplies. So for so I'm going to write this one down for you. So 4x minus y minus 2x. So what are my coefficients? Ooh, let's do that in blue because that's what coefficients stand for. Coefficients is, one coefficient is 4. Remember, you have an invisible 1 right there. And so that's actually going to be a -1 and then a -2 because you have to take the sign. Now I'm going to check my answer. It's really important that you think about what the question is before you check your answer because that's going to help you, right? To try it is going to help you solidify the concepts in your mind, and it's going to give you a practice on what the vocabulary is so that you can use the vocabulary when you do your DBA, because that's a really important thing when you're doing your DBAs, is using the proper vocabulary. So what are your variables going to be in this section? And the variables are going to be your X, your Y, and your Z. Boom. Look at that. I'm going to put a little line through that because sometimes my Z's look like 2's. I should stay in the video. What are the factors of 3x, y? So factors of 3x, y. Factors are things that are multiplied together to get something, right? So like prime factors are all of the numbers that you can multiply together to get something. So if you have 3x and y, the 3 factors, because there's 3 things that can be divided and then redistributed or multiplied. So your 3 factors are going to be 3x and y. And the reason that is because there's nothing else. Oh, geez, I was wrong. Look at, that's a lot of factors. So you could divide this by 1 and it wouldn't change it. You could pull out a 3 and it would be 3 times xy. You could pull out a 3x and it would be 3x times y. Oh my gosh. And I just like split it up into 3. That was like the simplest set of factors. But look at all of the different ways that you could separate this into pieces and then multiply it back together. What are the common factors? Okay, common factors. Common factors are things that they have that are similar. So if you have, what number is this? This is 5. If you have 5WY and 5YZ, what do they have in common? I'm giving you think time. They have a 5 in common. And they have a y in common, right? So if you were going to write this out, oh my gosh, let's see if I can do them all. 5y and 5y would be 2 common factors. I wonder how it writes it. How does it write it? Oh, and 1. 1 is like the magical number in math. because 1 can be like anywhere, can do anything, can multiply, all the things. That's why there's invisible ones all over the place. Oh, what is the base of the exponential expression 3x to the 4th? Is it x? Look at that. It was x. And the reason that it's x. Okay, this is a fancy thing. Ooh, I'm running out of room. Okay, we're going to come over here for 6. So the reason that the base is only x is because your x, your 4 is only multiplying, is not multiplying, is only to the power of x. If you had parentheses around the 3x, then your base would be 3x. But because there are no parentheses, that exponent is not being distributed across the whole equation. It's only going to the power of x. And last but not least, what are the exponents in the expression? So remember, exponents are powers. So your exponents are going to be 3, 2, and 4. Boom. So think about how long it took me to go through this one page and how many notes I took on this one page, right? This is what taking notes on the lessons should look similar to. If you don't need all of the information, don't write all the information down. But if there's things that you don't know, it's super important that you do write them down. And if you don't understand, that you come and ask questions. All right, I think I'll do, well, I guess I'll do one more video. So see you on the next one.